David from Lagos, Nigeria. Interesting. Hi, David. Banwo from Lagos. Interesting. Obviously, are we all from Lagos? Obviously, from Lagos, Nigeria. Banwo from Lagos. Abigail from Lagos as well. Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. Jasmine from Lagos, Nigeria. You're welcome. You're welcome to TOC Africa event. Welcome to TOC Africa event. Oh, we have someone from Abuja. Interesting. Ajibola from Abuja. You're welcome. You're welcome. Apparently, everybody's from Nigeria, but thankfully, we have one person, at least one person from who is not from Lagos. Right. Interesting. Interesting. So we'll be starting shortly. Although we have a couple of questions already compiled for the speakers. Yes, I'm sure you can see my video now. Although we have a couple of questions already compiled for the speakers. However, if you have questions, if you need more clarity, Ayobami from Oshobo, interesting. You're welcome, Ayobami. Hi. If you have questions or you need clarity on any question that we ask the speaker, please do drop it in the chat, right? And we'll get right into it. And if you know any friend of yours that registered for the event, please please just give the person a call, give him or her a call, or just text and let them know that they were about to get right into it. We're about to get right into it. Ismail from Lagos. Okay. You're welcome, Ismail. So let's get to introduction. We have amazing guests, amazing guests here with us. So just hand over to Ajibola before we do hand over to Ajibola to okay, hand over to Ajibola shortly to do the introductions. So I just told us about East Africa, right? Some of us might be new. A couple of us are new, actually, I can see. And then Ajibola will just give us a brief introduction about what COC Africa does. Um, what does COC Africa mean? You know, you might be wondering what is COC Africa and all of that, right? So Ajibola will be giving us that intro shortly. Before then, Ifemidi from Lagos, you're welcome, Ifemidi. Before Ajibola comes up, can you also you can at this point you can just use the raise hand button and I'll just the host or myself, right? So just unmute you. Or you can unmute yourself, I guess, and you can answer the question. Just tell me what are your expectations for today's session? What are your expectations for the session? We already have lineup, right? But what are your expectations? What are you looking forward to learn? You've already seen, I'm sure you must have seen the speakers, right, for the event, Praise and Elijah, right? Praise is currently the team lead, research team lead at Meristem, Nigeria, while Elijah is the COO and co-founder of Builder, right, an edutech startup. So let's know what are your expectations. Hi, Ismail. Hi, Family. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Ayobami, Ajibola, Jasmine, David, Banwo, Abisui. Let me know what your expectations are, what you're looking forward to at the event today. I'm waiting. It's almost time. It would be good to hear from you and know what you're looking to gain into this event. Ismail Banwo, I'm not seeing anything coming up in the chat. Or is somebody typing? I guess. I guess so. You can choose to unmute as well. You can choose to unmute. and speak. As a matter of fact, that would be better, right? That would be better. Was stalling a bit for the TOC Africa introduction. Excuse us. Okay, so I guess I'll just start before Ajibala comes to and Ajibala will come to take it. Ajibala will take it up from there when it comes. Okay, so TOC is TOC Africa, right? We used to be called. We did our relaunch just last year, but prior to that, we used to be called just TOC.
Hi, Abigail.
TOC means the our community. Okay, amazing. Ajibala is here. I
Okay,
see
nice.
you. Yeah. Please go ahead. I can't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you. Yes.
Can anyone hear me? Okay, nice. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the call. Sorry, I was rushing to get inside to have this introduction, and that's why it took time. Thank you, everyone, for joining. My name is Ajibola, and I'm currently the Chief Operating Officer at TOC Africa. And it's such an honor and privilege to have you all today. So briefly, without taking much of our time, I'll tell us a bit about TOC and what we intend for as far as this session is concerned. Then I'll hand it over back to Abigail to um, have these wonderful conversations with amazing speakers. So TOC Africa is called the R community. So we are not just a community, we call it the R community because um, what we try to achieve here is to help people, and these people are actually young African professionals, people that probably are still students in their undergraduate studies, or people that are just leaving school, more or less the youth age, as it were. And we're trying to achieve three things. Number one is to help them in terms of their personal development. Number two is their career development. And number three is their financial stability when it comes to their personal finance. So at TOC Africa, we seldom have events like this. We also have a newsletter that we send across every Saturday. We have stories that we shoot where we interview young professionals like the amazing speakers that we have on board. So we do a lot of things to help us to sort of reach out to you. And we are more than happy to have you on board today. Quickly about what this event is about. The title, as you know, is hired for skills, retained for attitude. We've been able to understand that it's one thing to get a job and it's another thing to stay on the job and grow on the job. And I won't go ahead of my time because I'm not the speaker. And I'm going to hand it back to Abigail because I'm really excited to see what today's session is about to offer. So wherever you are, please um, be ready, have an open mindset, and also if you have questions, you can start writing them down. And I believe before the end of the session today, we'll have an opportunity to take those questions. So thank you very much, everybody, once again. And do have an amazing time on this call. Abigail, over to you, please. Yeah, I think you're muted if you're speaking, Abigail.
Yes, I am. I was. Thank you. Thank you, Ajibola. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, thank you so much. And to add to what Ajibola said, you can also join the community. Like he said, TOC means the our community. So it's not just about us. It's not just about the volunteers or the people that are inside, right? Um we consider you. We see you. As a matter of fact, the community exists because of you, right? And you can join us, right? If you are attending this webinar today, we already have your emails, which means that you would be getting our newsletter subsequently. And like Ajibola said, we focus on career, personal development, and personal finance. And I'm sure that to be an amazing ride for you. So I'll just go straight to introducing our speakers, to introducing the speakers that we have for today, and I'll start with praise. I'll start with praise. Praise is a certified chartered accountant with both ACCA and ICANN. ICANN is Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Qualifications. She's currently leading the investment research team at Meristem Securities Limited, with expertise in macroeconomic analysis and financial markets, including equities and fixed income. She has appeared on various news media to provide insights on market trends and outlook. Praise also works as a career and personal finance consultant, helping young people navigate their career path. Um, as you can see in Praise bio, she's more than qualified to be speaking to us today, particularly because she's also she's also very key on helping young people navigate the career path. Can I see the clap, the excitement, the exciting reactions today? Thank you so much, Praise. Thank you. So quickly, I would also introduce Elijah because we're asking questions simultaneously today. Elijah is a seasoned brand strategist with 7 years of experience. He has helped businesses grow locally and internationally. As the co-founder and CEO of Builder, a tech startup, he leverages his expertise in branding, technology, and marketing to drive success. Elijah is known for his leadership and innovation and enjoys documentaries, volunteering, learning, and spending time with the love of his life. Can I see a round of applause and some form of excitement for Elijah in the house today? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for doing this with us. Elijah, thank you for doing this with us. Praise. Okay, so let's get right into it. So I'll start with you, Praise. Thank you for joining us once
Thank you for having me.
again. Thank you. Thank you so much. So good to see you. Okay, so I'll start with you. What as the team lead of Mary STEM, right? And as somebody who started from, I mean, the very least, I'm sure I know from your bio that you sent to us that you did not get into Mary STEM as a team lead. You're not hired as a team lead of the research team. So, what skills do you think initially helped you to get hired into the entry level role?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on the call today. I can just confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you. Well, I mean, when I was working in a bank for about 2 years, and I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. I just felt like I was doing a very routine part of the job that I wasn't getting what I needed, and I was also looking around. I'm like, I need something more. I need more. I want to be more in the finance space. And then I started to narrow down my choices. I wrote down a list of about 50 companies. I still have the diary. I wrote down the list of a lot of companies that I wanted to apply to and get into. And then some of them I sent them cold mails. A couple of them did not respond. You're going to get those. Yeah, I wrote a couple of companies down, sent some of them cold mails. Some of them responded. I even went to an interview that was a scam. So all these interviews that you go to, and then you get into the building, and then you think it's an interview, and then they start saying, I
I know.
was seated there, and in fact, before getting to that place, my father is a very big influence in my career journey, and he wasn't in support. He said, "Don't go for this interview," but then I was desperate. I want to go, so I went. I got into the building, and I'm like, no, I'm not going. So that I'm looking for a job. I still stayed. I sat for a while, and they started talking. I was like, you know what? I want to just get something outside, and I ran away. And then I got I applied to Meristem. Meristem was one of the places I applied to. But during that time of trying to apply and look for places, I was taking some trainings on LinkedIn, YouTube, Udemy. And then 2020 came, and Udemy practically gave everybody free training everywhere. You were paying like 5K, 7K to just do training. So I registered for a lot of trainings because I knew that what I wanted to do was finance. So I had to, and I didn't have any job experience on finance. So I had to like do personal trainings, a lot of personal trainings, a lot of courses online to be able to know some basics. So that by the time I get into the interview process of any company, I was able to speak, from at least from something that I learned online. So I think that also it really helped because although as at then, yes, I had done my ICANN, but I didn't really put my energy into doing the ICANN. I would say no shame to me, but it was la crème la passe. So I didn't really understand what I was doing. So it wasn't really like people say it's not because of the ICANN. I didn't really get what I was in. I had to like do some trainings, some learnings. I had to go and do videos, watch videos online a lot of times to be able to then get into the interview process. So I think those skills were very important. And then of course, when you get into interviews, I like speaking to people about interviews too. When you get into interviews, it's not really about you being able to say the right answer. It's also about your confidence, right? I've been in a lot of it over the course of my career. I've had the opportunity to interview over 500 people, and I would say that sometimes we really are just looking for you to be confident. Like we know that when you start answering the question, it's possible that you don't really understand this, right? You don't really know this, but you can be confident in telling us, I don't really know this thing. Will you give me time to come back to you? So I think I'll be to avoid overshooting my time. I think I'll pause it there for now and say those were the things that helped me get into the role as an analyst.
Oh wow, that was intense. I mean, you tried to get into 50 companies. That's actually a lot. And sending code mails and having people air you or not respond, that's quite understandable. I've been there and I know most of us have. Um I picked two things from what you said. You were tenacious, like you were willing to give it all it takes, saying that where you were at the time, you were not getting what you wanted. You were sure that this is not what I want. I'm much more than this. I can go for much more, right? And you knew that the kind of skills that you have was not really going to get you there. So you sourced for the resources, you went ahead, you practically gave it all it takes, and then you were confident. You were confident in delivering what you had at the time, and that seemed enough, obviously, because you were hired and you got the job, right? To give a bit of context to the reason why we're doing this webinar, so in TOC we have monthly team. So the team for the month of March, we're trying to emphasize on the fact that technical skills can get you hired, but you need a good mix of technical skills and soft skills, because most times soft skills are being underplayed. So we need soft skills to really, really gain ground. And confidence is not really something you will learn in school. I don't think I've seen a course. Maybe there is. This is 2025, but but you will not learn it in the university, in typical Nigerian university system. You don't learn it in school. But that's something that is very key. And I know that even beyond you getting into the role, confidence must and tenacity must have been something that kept you in the role, and most importantly helped you to climb the ladder in your career. Thank you so much, so much for that praise. So I'll be asking, there's another question. Aside confidence, do you think there's something else that helped you to stand out from other candidates that during your interview process?
Of course, not just confidence, the knowledge of at some point you can be confident to say nonsense. Your nonsense. I've interviewed confident people that I didn't think were a fit for the role that they were coming for. Very confident, but you're supposed to be a tech bro, and I can see that what you want to do is tech, but I would not hire you for a finance role. So before, yes, confidence, but you need to also know, like, be you. It's a cliche. Say, oh, you have to know yourself. You have to know it is so fundamental to everything in life, even your career journey, like whatever it is that you're doing, whatever job it is you're doing, if you don't know if you're why you're supposed to be there. I ask some people, why are you applying for this role? And they will say, oh, because my father was in finance, because my brother did finance, because my I've gotten those type of answers on interview panels before. I'm not even making it up. I've gotten answers of, oh, I just like calculating numbers. Oh, I just like to know, but that's not a reason. If you want to calculate numbers, go and calculate numbers in the hospital. You can be an accountant in the hospital. You don't have to do finance in a finance firm to be able to calculate numbers. If you think your father, you just like the way your father lived. And there was someone that told me, oh, his brother moved to finance, and when his brother moved, his brother was happier. And I said, is it finance that made your brother happier, or he finally found what he wanted to do? So if that's your reason, so you need to know why you're coming to that interview panel. These people have all been. Oh, I'm sorry. I mistakenly unmuted myself. These people were all confident people. They were not fit for the role. So confidence, technical ability, of course, to some extent, because depending on the role you're hiring for, if you're hiring for an entry-level role, there's a level of technical ability that can be excused because it's entry level. But if you're hiring for a mid-level, you're coming for a top management, what we are coming to pay you for is what you know. So if I'm coming to pay you for what you know, then you must know what you know. Do you understand me? I've also had someone, not entry level, about 2 3 years experience, and the reason why I didn't take her was because I had someone else that had done that role, and the person knew a lot more. They had the same number of years of experience, but what I could tax one person, the one person was broad in knowledge, and the other person was, yes, I'm here for 3 years, but this is all I know. So, and that was the reason why I didn't take the person, because I felt like if I can pay this person this, then I shouldn't be able to pay you that. So there's a lot of things that come into play when you're coming to the hiring process. You need to know what exactly it is. Don't come to an interview and you don't even know the company. You can't even tell me about the company. You mistakenly saw my interview adverts. That's what it means. You did not, even if you mistakenly saw my interview advert, let's even say it just came up on you. For the fact that you're coming to me for an interview that day, you have to have you need to tell me one single thing about this company. You can't just come in and without knowing. So what if it's a drug mill company? So
Interesting. Interesting. You need to know, really. So that means that helps actually. I was hoping to hear that, and you actually said it. That buttress the importance of knowledge, right? Still knowing your onion, knowing what you want, because you can't get to the interview room and disgrace yourself, simply put. Okay, so let me quickly go to Elijah. Hi, Elijah. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. So, to buttress what Praise said. So, when hiring, I know that you're a CEO and you're a co-founder, and I've seen on your LinkedIn the hiring sign, right? So when you are hiring as the chief operations officer, how do you distinguish skill-based candidates and attitude driven candidates? I mean, people who have there are candidates who have technical skills, and you'd see that they don't really have the soft skills, soft skills that will help them take the job. Particularly for you, yours might be quite peculiar because you are the CEO of a startup. And I know for startups, you need you need all that it takes. I mean, you need some level of there are some qualities that you will need in the individuals that you're going to be hiring. So how do you differentiate? How do you distinguish that? How do you even know that a candidate has this person is the one we should be hiring. He has everything it takes. How do you make that decision?
All right, thank you, Abigail. Please confirm that.
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you, Praise, for that. That was, right on point. Yeah, hiring people, you cannot say that this is something you do. Differentiating, of course, it's something very important for you to do, but then it's a gamble. Yeah, you cannot explicitly say that, okay, this person is the right fit. You just have to, pick through, it's a gut feeling, right? Okay, this person would have a great attitude. But most importantly, we chip in some, few questions like, okay, just tell us about a time when maybe you messed up, you made a mistake, and then that affected the company. Maybe, okay, something went wrong and it was your fault, right? And then just allow the person speak. Especially when they say, okay, they led a team, even if they lead a team, right? The ability to own up to mistake, the ability to not blame your village people, the ability to not, blame your ex-boss and say that, okay, they don't like you because this person did this and that. Of course, those things are, they are real. This is workplace, right? There's workplace politics, yeah. And how do you navigate yourself? And most importantly, thinking on your feet, yeah, because it's important. There'll be a lot of questions, just like, Chris said that we are not solely particular about just what you can do. Not only that, because we are more important about how do you, relate with people, how do you collaborate, how do you, work with other people, right? And most importantly, what a lot of people don't pay attention to is social media. I mean, there are a lot of things social media can expose. I mean, maybe when Burna Boy and Whiskey is fighting, what did you say? What did you say about your boss, your ex-boss? A lot of things. I mean, social media, don't forget, you'll be surprised what it can unveil after 20 years, after 15 years, because I mean, I've seen a lot of people lost their job because of that, because of what they said when they were 15 years old. So we need to be very important. I mean, we need to pay attention very importantly to that particular. So basically, it's just a gamble, just like I said, but a little here, a little there, you can just tell and just filter through, the small screen and just say, okay, this person will be a good hire. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need to be careful what we say on social media. Actually, that's very key. That's very key. I've seen a number of comments about what's going on in Rivers, and you'll be shocked about what some people are saying about the situation, right? And I agree with you, and particularly because we're talking about career and the thoughts that you share, the comment that you share, not only on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is professional social media, right? You have recruiters come into your DM, send you a DM, and just fish you out, like head on you to just give you a job. That's because they must have seen something appealing in your profile. About people who were interested in candidates because of the comments the person made on a particular post, the insights the person shared on a particular post. So that's a very succinct point. Thank you so much, Elijah. So my follow-up question would be that, can you recall a time where you hired or you were in an interview process with someone who had a great skill but had a bad attitude?
Yeah, I can actually recall a couple, but let me just stick
A
to
couple. Interesting.
yeah, let me just stick to one off the top of my head. So there's this designer, right? I am a designer myself, and leading a team means that you have to come across people that are smarter than you, better than you. But the most important thing is that you are the leader here, right? And of course, you are not the one, even calling the final shot. You are just the one, you are the intermediary between the stakeholders and then the people actually doing the job. So there was this designer that I worked with, and I mean a fantastic designer, and he's way better than I am. All right, and he does not take feedback lightly. He's always grumpy about feedback. Of course, creatives they are always in their own head. Okay, these things I spent 3 hours creating this design. How can you tell me to change this? And the most important thing when it comes to being a creative is that clients what they want. I mean, you are not the final say when it comes to the project. Of course, you can give your own professional view. You can advise and help, but when push comes to shove, right, you just have to do what they want. You understand? So this particular person in question does not take feedback lightly. Courses that okay, what kind of person is this? Blah blah blah. No, I'm not going to work on this. Sometimes, right, I picked up myself because I am a designer, but then I can only do it for so long, yeah. Because I mean, before I have blood pressure, I just have to okay, bro. I think you should go your separate way. Let me go my separate way. So that's one particular person that I can recall. Thank you.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I'd like to ask the same question from Praise. Have you ever worked with or hired someone who had great skills, like they know the job, but they had bad attitude? Because from what Elijah said, given not being able to take feedback or corrections is a big deal, and particularly for research. I know that research is a team, or the team where you need to pay core or prompt or high level of attention to details. I mean, you are sending the report to all your clients, and the level of reports that you send, or the quality of report that you send, would either increase, make or mar the confidence of your clients, of people that read your reports, right? So they'll say, what are people saying? I mean, inflation is 23.18. Why are you saying 23.15? If you make that mistake twice, they might stop reading your report. So that can affect the reputation of the company. So not being able to take feedback appropriately, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
praise, I'll let you answer that question too. Have you ever worked with someone like that?
I mean, I have been in interview processes, and just from like Elijah said, there are questions you ask to test somebody's um arrogance. Because there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. I said be confident, and then there's a thin line there. So there are questions you ask to test arrogance, and then people can only mask for so long. If you most times when we're like dogs in interview process, when there's a scent of blood, we want to ask more, we want to know more. So there's just a tiny hint of that, oh, we now start asking more questions, and people sleep. And right from interview processes, you start to see, of course, some will wish them from the interview process. I have been in an interview process, and I think this person would be very smart for this job, but will still say no, because you're not someone that you with all you've presented, you're not someone that can listen to someone that is, I mean, anybody that's giving you feedback. You're also not someone that can work well in a team. We've gotten, you said those questions we ask you, how and when did you make a mistake? How did you fix it? Those things, they pay attention to them. Seriously, as we pay a lot of attention to them as people that are sitting on interview panels, and we listen. And then body language. If it's a physical interview, trust me, body language will tell you a lot that you need to know. I know a lot of interviews these days is virtual, so that is kind of cut off. But if it's a physical interview, body language will tell you a lot. You're sitting in an interview, and when we ask you a question that will naturally make you defensive, and then you cross your hands, that person is going to, give you. So there are those things on interview process. And then there's also, I'm not saying don't cross your hand in an interview, but I'm saying like unintentionally, we defend ourselves unintentionally. Your body wants to defend. If the question that is coming to you sounds like something that would offend you, unintentionally we do that. It's just a tell, one of the tells. And then on the job, of course, it's only natural. I don't think there's anybody that hasn't worked with somebody that is really good and has some, one or two things that you're like, you have to watch yourself. There's been instances, of course, and there's been times when you give people grace and then they turn around. Some people are acting out of, they don't know. They really do not know that attitude is stinking. And I want to use that word stinking. Forgive me if it's a bad word, but it is. Some people don't know. Some people, when you call them up on it and say, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that, they would fix up. But when you've spoken to someone, oh, you did this, you got this feedback, and you did, and this is how you reacted. First time, second time, third time, I don't even, I expect you to start taking, because consequence management goes both ways. For team leads and for owners, there's reward and there's also punishment. So you need to understand where you need to reward and where you need to punish. People, we all need to like get ourselves to the point where we are not scared of punishing people, especially when you have taken steps to correct somebody's attitude. So I've had instances where somebody writes a report and then we give a comment and say, no, you shouldn't write it like this. This is what the person did. And the person giving you the comments has 3 years, 4 years experience over you. But you're saying, no, this is the story. This is how I want to write it. Sorry? And so most times, people that stand on that, they're usually wrong. That's the funny thing. So I always say, when I get those kind of attitudes, I give you a chance, we give you another chance, we speak to you. Sometimes we put you through. In Meristem, we have some processes like we have people that can have conversations with you, whatever, put you through a system of trying to correct this. If it is getting to a point that is not correctable, we do not hesitate to either put sanctions on it, whatever the sanction may look like. It depends on the gravity of what the offense is, And then I also say something to people like, feedback is just that, feedback. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing. It just means that maybe somebody has a different perspective that is better on this particular thing. I always tell my team, I say, even if I write a report to my MD today, he can still give me feedback. It doesn't mean I don't know. It doesn't mean I was wrong. It just means that maybe he has another perspective that I've added to the conversation that I didn't know about. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So as people that are working with team leads, you need to just realize that feedback is just that. Nobody, it's not personal, it's not targeted until somebody starts saying, oh, something is wrong with you. That's where it is now negative. But if it's really, really just about your job, somebody just really telling you, oh, this thing you wrote, you can do it like this, or design you can change it this way, that way. That's all it is, feedback. And so take it, the positives, work on it, move on. Who gets better at the end of the day? You. So
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. That was detailed. Feedback is just what it is. It's nothing to be taken personal. It's basically or majorly to help you to improve your skills. And most times when taken the right way, when taken in the right way, it helps the person at the receiving end learn better. I mean, it opens you up to better perspective. You see better way to do what it is that you have done. Most times you don't even know that that thing could have been done the way the person that give the feedback mentioned it. So it's great to have an open mind towards feedback. Of course, as Pri said, except in our guess personal, like person start talking about your head is not correct or things like that, which is not appropriate, which is not quite appropriate. So Praise, I'd like to ask, so how do you now balance, or let me ask this first. How do you think people can grow their soft skills, or what are the necessary soft skills in the workplace?
the funny thing, we say that there's a lot of focus on intellectual quotient. There's a lot of focus on IQ. Maybe just recently you're starting to have more focus on EQ. But the kind of for you to be able to succeed in a workplace, it also depends on the level that you are as a person. You need to know what level your role, what skills are needed for that role, what soft skills are needed for that role. Okay. As an entry level person, I don't expect you to, yes, of course, pursue leadership skills, self-leadership, but like there are some leadership skills that's not your business at that level. All you need to do is soak in what your leader is teaching you. There is there's management skills. You need to be able to manage yourself and manage your boss. I always tell people this. I tell anybody that I'm speaking to career development, I say, see, your job is to make your boss look good. Whatever that means for your boss is what it is. Your job is to make your boss, somebody's wanting to say, oh, eventually, of course, we should also pray to have good bosses that will give you credit. But people fighting for credit at entry-level role, I'm so sorry. What credit are you fighting for your job? That is a soft skill. Nobody teaches you, oh, don't fight for credit. No, no, no. If you get it, fine. If you do not get it at that point, it's okay. Because at that point, the person that should speak for you in rooms that you are not in is the person that matters, not your MD. If your MD has a question to ask, no, they're not going to call you. They're going to call your boss. So your boss is the one that should be able to say, oh, MD, okay, give me 1 second. Let me call Praise. Or MD, I will assign Praise to work on this thing with you because your boss has built such confidence in Praise. My MD coming to ask my team anything, they are not, I mean, before I became the team lead, they weren't really asking. Any committee I was seconded to was from a recommendation from my boss. My bosses were the ones that recommended me for whatever committee, whatever team, whatever anything. It was in fact, if there was a time I had to be working almost 2 different teams in Meristems, right? I was working on my research team, but then I was also, assisting with another team to get a product off the ground. Before that permission was granted, my boss was in the loop of it. So it wasn't, imagine if I had shown him that I don't know how to walk, I don't know how to, he's not going to second me for that kind of thing. So at the end of the day, as an entry level, you need to understand the level you are for the kind of skills you need. You need to know how to manage the people you're working with. Teamwork. I know a lot of us in this day and age, because of the way we now work virtually, we now work remote, everybody now, you can do things on your own time. It has kind of killed the team spirit a little bit, but trust me, I would rather assign something to someone that can work with others and build others than a lone man. A lone man would only work for themselves. And there also I hear people say, oh, I like to work in my own time. I mean, I work in my own time. Who are you kidding? Your time that you should work is your client's time. If your clients For instance, I work in the financial market, and the market is open from 10 to 2:30, and I have clients within that period that will ask questions. I cannot say, oh, I don't work by 10, I don't work by 12. What are my clients paying me for? Also, remember, people say, oh, it's my company that's paying me. It's not your company, it's your clients. If the company doesn't make revenue from the clients, they cannot pay you. So it's not your company that's paying you, it's the clients that are paying you, whatever their clients internally, externally, whatever they are. So if you're in a position where you have to do something for a client, and of course, not clients calling you by 11 p.m. in the midnight. There are some situations that would need that. I'm not going to talk about those ones today. But I'm saying, like, let's say it's within reasonable time. You can't say I'm a lone man and I work within time. So those kind of soft skills are important. You need to be able to listen. Oh, we like to talk. But quietness doesn't mean listening. There are people that are quiet and are not listening. So the fact that you are quiet doesn't mean you're listening. But people say, oh, maybe you enter a room and the most vocal person, that you think that person is not a listener. The person can be vocal and be a listener. They're two different things. So you need to be able to listen in whatever rooms you are. Know the people that are calling the shots in that room. You have to enter a room and figure it out. When you figure it out, you know the answers. Of course, it doesn't mean that you enter a room and say, and be rude to the cleaner, because the cleaner is not the one calling the shots. But if somebody, you enter a room and you don't know that this person is the MD, and the person is asking you a question, and you're just all speaking quietly, no confidence, you've lost an opportunity. So every opportunity you have to speak is an opportunity to speak yourself. It's an opportunity to sell yourself. It's an opportunity to show who you are. So beyond your entry level role, as you start to grow within an organization, of course, you need to also start learning how to lead others, how to pull others up, how to be, you need to become a go-to. It's a soft thing. It's a soft skill that is mixed with technical. Becoming a go-to is not just about who knows the job more. It's also about who people feel comfortable coming close to. It's an aura thing, right? Becoming a go-to person is very important. I need to be able to think. I need my boss to think, who can do this thing, and the first person is calling his praise. I've had instances where somebody just calls me and says, hello, some person in the office gave me your number, and they wouldn't have given those people my number if they didn't think I was a go-to, and I could accommodate those people, right? And then one last thing I would say is, weaknesses expose themselves in different areas of our lives, and also the weaknesses you have for this level will be different from the weaknesses you have for the next level. In fact, you don't know you have a weakness until you get to a point where you need to show a strength, and then you realize that is a weakness. So if you recognize a weakness in yourself as an entry level person, and you don't deal with it or work or build structures that can help you work around it, by the time you become a boss, you'll be carrying the weaknesses of your entry level weakness, then you'll be carrying the weaknesses that now expose themselves when you become a boss. So you need to understand yourself and understand your weaknesses. We call it self-leadership, right? Self-leadership is important for every level, whether you're entry level, middle level, whatever you are, you need to become a self-leader. Know the weaknesses you have for your entry level position. Maybe you just don't like waking up early. You don't like, if you don't like waking up early and you're naturally a late person, you need to figure out how to fix that before you become a team lead that is now accountable for people coming to the office at a particular point in time. So you cannot, if you don't fix it, if you don't fix your lateness when you are an entry level, there's no way you get to a boss and you start coming late and you want to talk to your team members and say, hey, don't come late. But you enter the office by 10 o'clock. Or you also enter the office by 12. So all those things are I think of soft skills that.
Thank you so much, Praise. Thank you. That was full. My network hung for a minute. So I want to just confirm if you can hear me now. Can you please confirm?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for that. You mentioned listening, know the job. Like, yes, you know the job, but how many people in your office know that you know the job? And every opportunity to speak is an opportunity to sell yourself. Listen, learn to listen. Your first job is to make your boss look good, particularly as an entry level person. right? As somebody in an entry level role, or as somebody who has a superior, because there are hierarchies. At the end of the day, there are hierarchies. If you, like Prue said, if your manager wants to speak to somebody in the team, and sometimes it does get to us a bit. I must confess, let me share a personal experience. There's sometimes where you probably be okay. Let me make it personal. I'm probably the one that works on the reports, right? And of course, I submitted it to my supervisor to cross check, and then make corrections. Okay, correct this, write this again, check this line. Are you sure this is correct? Something like that, and then give me feedback. And then I corrected it, and when the MD, I mean, the report was blasted, sent out to all the clients, and then when the MD saw it, like, oh, this is great. I want to ask for that question. I know what the MD wanted to talk about, but the MD did not call me. He called Baba So, which is normal. Despite the fact that he knows best narrow the report. I learned that you need best narrow the report. Sometime later, like months later, I went to see him for something. My supervisor gave me the permission to see him. Can you see that? My supervisor gave me permission to see him. I could not go and see him directly like that. And then he said, oh, I saw your report. That was great. I'm sure my supervisor must have put in words or say, Abigail wrote this report. So at the end of the day, the hierarchy, your first job is to make your boss look good, right? And that's something that can be hard or might be hard sometimes, but you still have to learn it because it's very important. If you have the person to look good, they'll easily want to speak for you and then mention your name in rooms that matters, and that will also help you scale up. So let me quickly ask Elijah this question before we. Ajibola, you have a question? Your hand is raised.
Yeah, I wanted to, just in the spirit of that conversation, before we move ahead. Hi, everyone, again. So, like, my part, I was like retrospecting, and I think I sort of fall short in this. So, and I wanted to like give my story and to ask maybe praise how maybe someone was in my shoe and how the person can do better. So, um, so I had a boss that I would say, okay, you have bosses that probably are not as technical as you. So let's use financial modeling, for example. So you might feel like, oh, I'm very good at financial modeling and I build this thing, and the boss is maybe rubbishing what you're doing, or you're like trying to say this is actually how it should be and all of that. And over time, you start getting resentment and all of that. Like, this guy does not know this thing and he keeps on saying that I'm not doing it the right way. And I'm feeling like, oh, I'm doing this thing actually the right way. You're the one who do not understand this thing, right? And there are times where we argue on concepts as simple as return on investment. This is actually how to calculate. You don't use this, you use that. So in retrospect, I was like, I think I should have done better here. So in that situation where you find yourself like, you feel like you might know some technical thing more than your boss. And how do you like manage that relationship, especially when that boss does not appreciate what you're doing? Or maybe you feel like you are making him maybe feel threatened. I don't know. So what do you
Surprisingly,
do?
that's the question I was going to ask Elijah. So makes sense, make perfect sense. Um, I'm going to ask Elijah, and I'll also like Praise to add something to it. So over to you, Elijah. Did you get Ajibala's question?
Sorry, I lost him for a moment.
Okay, so he asked if what do you do in cases where, of course, Praise made mention of your first job is to make your boss look good, right? So what do you do in cases where it seem like, or maybe you actually do have more technical skills or technical knowledge more than your boss, and but he or she does not. So when the person corrects you, you are like, this is the right way to do it, but how do you navigate that situation? Ajibola, I hope I um interpreted that correctly. So that's this question.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. The most important thing is to understand that he calls the shots, right? Whether you are in the right or in the wrong, most importantly, he calls the shots. So that means that there's a limit to especially what you can do in the first place, right? So most importantly, just like Chris said, your primary job is to make him or her look good, right? And of course, people have soft spots. People have time that, I mean, you can have conversation. You know, in the spur of the moment, in the spur of the moment, there might be little to what you can do, but then let the situation die down. And then you can revisit the same conversation. You'll be surprised that, I mean, the same conversation you were having with somebody, I mean, with someone a little while ago, the person is saying something else entirely now. I mean, this person is now calm to understand you, to listen, most importantly, because, I mean, at some point, right, when you're having, you don't want to prove a point. That's the most important thing. And you don't want to threaten the person. You don't want to threaten your boss to make him feel that, oh, now you think you are better than me, right? I mean, that, you don't want him to feel that way. So at that moment, you might, okay, maybe the only thing you might have to say, okay, sir, I understand, sir, and then just let it pass. Then maybe when you're having a casual conversation, when you know, okay, this person is now more willing to, you know, to listen to you, to hear you. Maybe at that point, you can now bring it up and say, okay, this, and that, this is how, I mean, this is how I was taught. Don't even say this is how they do it. This is how I was taught. And then the person, oh, okay, because I mean, there was a case that happened. Somebody just told me about his experience and it was like, okay, his boss, right? The boss gave him a task to do, and the boss did one as an example for it to show him, and then ask him to do the second one, and then the boss left. Some hours later, the boss called him. I was like, the thing I asked you, you did the wrong thing, blah 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 blah. Then he checked and realized that it's actually the first one that the boss actually did himself that was wrong. So at that point, the boss was delete everything, start all over again, blah, 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 blah. So at that point, he could not actually react. He just said, okay. He just let it slide and actually did what the boss actually asked him to do. And he pushed it out. So then after some hours, we now had a conversation with him that, okay, this is what happened. The one that was actually wrong was the first one. And he realized, okay, that must have been your mistake, right? Ah, okay. So that might be a way to navigate the moment, because when you want to have conversation, you don't have conversation when the pressure is high. You don't have, I mean, you don't argue, you don't correct, you don't do anything. You just, okay, accept and okay, this is because I feel it sometimes, I experience sometimes. Many times, I mean, you are in the middle of a lot of things. Me as I mean, as a team lead, for instance, right? And then someone is trying to, at that point, you are in the middle of a lot of things. You are not even rational. You don't have time to think through. So what you want is just what you want. And maybe when the person comes back a little while later, you can now have the conversation again and then you now understand, okay, this is okay. You're actually right. Let's do it your way and then let's have it that way. Thank you.
Oh wow, thank you, Elijah. That can be a bit tough though. A bit tough. Hey, okay, all right. Praise, please.
Okay, I mean, I was smiling as Elijah was talking because I've had the experience of both, where I was the one that was correct, and I'm like, not to this my present job, in the past life. And then I've also had the experience where someone is trying to, I think I was the one that was even wrong, you know. So I've seen both sides. But one thing I would say is you cannot be having that conversation. You can't be having that, this thing in the presence of other people. You're trying to show off your boss, like in the presence of other people, and be saying, yeah, I'm not as correct. Oh, you will suffer. You will suffer on that job. That's just the truth of the matter. You will see the back of your eye, you know. So you need, first of all, time, like Elijah said, time is very important. Timing is as important as it's communication. It's just like the way when we are with our private lives and with our private friends, we don't always argue all the time. There's sometimes you let things go and then you come back to it, you revisit. Um, Timing is important. There are people that are more receptive to things after they've learned something. And you can go back and say, hey, so this thing, I think I was wrong. Can you teach me your own way? You know something that teaching does to you? It makes you recognize your mistake. And so we say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't really, can you teach me your own way? Like, I think I would like to also learn it. This is one way that I was taught. I would like to also learn it in your own way. And the process of the person trying to teach you, trust me, they would realize that, oh, this thing. The last thing I'll say about this is it can't be happening all the time where you are the one that is always right above your boss. You need to leave that place because the ceiling of what you can learn is also very important. Like the person that is leading you is also important to your growth and your learning. So if every single time you are the one that knows more, then you need to leave that place and go and find where you can learn and actually grow as a human being. So yes, so we need to be diplomatic about it, and we need to, make sure that you are not antagonizing people, make sure that you are not, making. But if you notice that it's a continuous thing that always, 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 always happens, and with the most mundane things, then that means they should be paying you what they're paying your boss, because you're the one that knows the job. But your job is not to now start fighting, going to go and meet the management and say, see, I'm the one that knows the boast in this place. If it happens all the time, please, if you are the one that is the smartest one in the room all the time, I'm sorry, you are in the wrong place. Move. I think that's what I can say about that.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you so much, Praise. Apologies, Abigail is having some network glitches, and I want to try to come in for her quickly. Um, Let me try to bring in my face here as well. Oh God, I didn't prepare for this, so I'm trying to look for the other questions that she prepared. So I actually have a question for you, actually, Praise, and maybe pending the time Abigail joins, and then I also have a question for Elijah. So like personally, like I've seen how you like moved from an analyst. Like I've not that I saw you at your job, but I saw you in the lens of LinkedIn and on the like just seeing how you've stayed at Meristem and how you're now like a team lead. And yes, I believe there's a story behind that. I believe there's something you are doing differently. I believe there's something unique about what you're doing and how you're able to be recognized to the point where within a space of 4 or 5 years, you moved from just an analyst now to a team lead. And I would like to hear that story. I believe that story sort of like help someone here today.
It's a very interesting story. Okay, well, I would say that it was preparation and opportunity. Um, Coming into Meristem, of course, I joined the Meristem in 2020 as a training analyst. And like I said, I worked in the bank and I didn't like what I was doing. And so taking the job in Meristem meant I needed to start from ground zero again. I had to take a pay cut, the works, to be able to make that move. And because I knew what I wanted to learn, and I mean, so the story is that I moved from Abuja to back to Lagos to be able to make it work. And so I left a more comfortable life to this madness that is Lagos. And it was like, you know what, we die here.
Wow.
We die here. We will do this and we will succeed. And one thing that also worked for me was I had a network of people. My team, the people I came in with, there were also a lot of us were also we die here kind of people. So they think I was trying to. So what I was doing at some point is when the way the training is structured, we take class trainings for a few months, and then after that we start doing the job training, and then during the class training time, a lot of people a lot of my colleagues that we came in together, we would do schedules on how to teach each other. We come to work on Saturdays. Sometimes we go meet somewhere on Sundays to like review things and all. They thought I was in it for them. I've told them this already, so they won't be shocked if they hear this. They thought I was in it for them, but I was in it for me, because I was like, are you ready to learn? Okay, me, I'm ready to die on this thing. So let's go. Let's do this together. So I was more or less the leader of my set that came into Meristem at that time, structuring things. So I also had the opportunity to I was also more or less exposed to others outside my team too, others outside my set. I was also very exposed to the senior analyst, to the team lead as a then, to the HR team, because I was one communicating with all of them as at that point. So it also kind of made things, let's say, because I volunteered. It was a volunteer work. Leading my team as a then, leading my set as a then was volunteer work. I wasn't getting paid for it. I wasn't getting paid to do the schedules for trainings. I wasn't getting paid to organize the team together to sit down. I wasn't getting paid all those things. I was doing it just because I was trying to, like, I'm going to die. I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do it well. So I think those seeds of volunteer work kind of paid, it kind of paid off, because before long, 2022 was when I became the deputy. I was initially the deputy team lead. and then someone else was the team lead. So before 2022, I became deputy team lead of the team, and that's when opportunity happened. So preparation had happened between 2020 and 2022. And then opportunity happened when, we had a lot of resignations, and Meristem said, we trust you. We're not going to go outside to look for head of research. We want you to do the job. And my MD, he was the DGMD as at then, he called us into his office and he said, you know what? You're going to sink or you're going to swim. Whatever it is you want to do is up to you. Then the team leader I looked at us, I said, we are going to swim. We are not sinking. This team is not dying in our hands. It was that simple. So I think that was when the preparation made the opportunity. And of course, when I started the job too, it wasn't easy. It was very difficult because, that's why I said leadership. You recognize things at different stages of your life. I don't think there were things about myself as a leader I did not know until I got into the position of leadership, and then I started to recognize, oh, this kind of leader I am, this kind of leader I am, this kind of leader I am. Interesting. So this is what I need to fix. These are my weaknesses. These are the things I need to work on to be able to have people stay on this team and also learn and also build people that can take up when I leave. So opportunity, preparation, and a good environment. The environment was very welcoming, was very good. It allowed me to blossom. That's why I said before, if you're not in a space where you're blossoming, you're not learning, you're not growing, you have to move. You have to go look for where your interest is also protected. My interest was very protected at that point in time. I was supported to do exams. We were supported to do, whatever it is you want to do. Learning cannot stop. Even till now, I'm still writing exams. So, it's always evolving. And I think that's kind of like the journey, that's the abridged journey. Because the the deep story will still, go deeper, but that's like the abridged version. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. That's interesting. That's a lot. And maybe if I probably provide more maybe comment to what you just said, I wanted to just chip in like, how are you finding the movement to Lagos? Like I moved to Abuja recently and I was like, no, I'm not doing Lagos again. And people think I'm proud now. They feel like, hey, anytime you come.
No, I understand you 100%. I've been in Lagos for 5 years, and I mean, till now, if I get an opportunity to go back to Abuja, I will. So,
All right. I'm glad we're in the right position. And Elijah, I think, can attest to that as well, because he's also an Abuja-based person now. Yeah, I think one of the things you mentioned that's like stood out for me is the fact that you took ownership of things, right? Even when you were not the team lead, like you were able to volunteer yourself to do things others probably are shying away from doing. And one of the things I've also like when speaking to based on my experience with other people that I've worked in terms of my boss, I think one of the things they usually talk about also is about like, what makes differentiate people from others is the ability to take ownership. Like you don't need to be told every time this is what you should do, but the ability to take initiative and like this actually needs to be done. And if there's nobody that can do this for the integrity of this position or the integrity of this company, let me do that. I don't need to feel like, oh, I'm not the team leader. I'm not paid as a team leader. Why do I want to do this that way? If you start thinking that way, you'll be limited to where you are and you won't be able to grow. So I think that's really, really profound. And I believe maybe someone caught that today. So I'll hand off. I don't know if Abigail is here, but I have one question to Elijah. And if Abigail is here, you can just take over from me, please. So I understand, Elijah, you're currently building like an ed tech startup. And when it comes to this whole attitude, soft skills and all of that, okay, who's that? Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
yes, we
Can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay, good, good. So I'm talking about when it comes to attitude, soft skills. I also believe it's also a function of the environment you find yourself. There's I think there's a place of like companies building, making their companies or making their organization a platform where people can build the right skill sets, right? There's like I'll call it culture. There's a culture like when you get to somewhere, you'll be able to know that, oh, this is not a place to mess around. This is a place where you can grow and all of that. So how are you going about like using Builder as example? Like what are the things you're trying to do to ensure that even people that you bring in on board, your employees and others, they have the right attitude to work and they are embodying that technical and soft skills, um, um, like merging the two together? What are you trying to do concerning that at Builder?
All right, thank you, Ajibola. Well, first off, you are not the first person that thinks Lagos is madness, but this webinar is not about Lagos. So let me answer your question. First of all, I think that's it starts from the leadership, right? It starts from the top, just like a waterfall effect. It starts from, I mean, the people at the top, and then it flows down. So most important thing, I mean, which is the most important thing for us, and especially for any startup here, because I mean, we being a startup, there are a lot of things we are trying to figure out. There are a lot of things we are trying to, it's full of trial and errors, right? There's no, fully should I say, fully experienced, fully researched our pan out situations, right? So it means that we have to be willing to make mistakes and then own up to that mistake, right? I mean, starting from the leadership, of course, okay, we can come to take for instance, now, I made the product designer and say, okay, this is the product, I mean, this is the feature we want on this landing page, and then you do it like this, you do it like that, and then some weeks later, after 2 weeks, after we've done our research or spoken with somebody with better experience, and then okay, we just have to come back to the same product designer and say, okay, we are very sorry, but then this is the way we need to go now. Do you understand? So it's just full of trying to just own up to the fact that we are still growing, to the fact that we are still learning on this journey. And I mean, so if that is in place, right, building a culture from the top left down makes it easy for everyone to just, okay, take for instance the social media manager and say, okay, this is the strategy I'm trying this week and it's not working out. Let's try another strategy next week. So that way we all know that, okay, this person is not that, okay, this person has it all figured out. Most especially because for us, right, personal growth, personal development is something that is very key to us and very cogent, because we believe that if everybody can grow on their own personally, I mean, there's no way the company will not grow. If everybody, so we are not particular about, I mean, your height, or you can do everything, but the most important thing is that, are you growing? If you can, this is where you came, I mean, this is how you came into the company. This is how this is how you came here, but this is where you are right now, and we can see the hunger, because this thing cannot be taught, right? We can see that, okay, this person is trying to put in everything, just trying to absorb everything they can absorb. And being a startup, yeah, you don't have a role, you don't have you might be hired to you might be hired as a social media manager, but forget it. I mean, if anything comes up, everybody, we are all doing everything. Maybe what you will not be called to do is to write code, because of course you cannot write code. But in as much as you can do it, I mean, there's nothing stopping. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that that's the right way, right? In the sense that, okay, this is the contract, but this is the startup, and the willingness to always, I mean, you can always see it, right? These people are not taking this as a, we don't want people that are transactional. Okay, this is what they are paying me for. This is what they are paying me to do. That way, okay, we can always see those people that are willing to go all out to do whatever it takes to, to get the job done. And okay, take for instance, now we just discovered, okay, there's a problem somewhere. Just like Praise said earlier, that always there are always be the go-to person, right? So even us as leadership, right, in the leadership cadre, we just want to solve the problem in as much as we can. There's nothing like, okay, this is the person that can act, I mean, this is the person that is mandated to do this. We try to whatever it is we can do. So that way it flows down. And if there's anybody that we think that, okay, this person is just trying to just relax on this or our laurel, right, and just waiting for, okay, that is not my role. And of course, that person cannot work in our ecosystem, because in our space, right, we are all doing whatever it takes to get the job done. It doesn't matter what you are paid or what you are paid to do. Do you understand? So it's just like I said earlier, just to recap, right? It starts from the leadership. If we as a leadership, we can, build the structure from from top down, it flows down. Everybody can see that, okay, this is what these people are doing. And they are genuinely trying to, to solve the problem. They are genuinely trying to grow and be better at it. So that way it flows down. So that's the major thing, that because you cannot teach people to be good people, really. You cannot really teach them to be good people. You can only show them, right? Okay, This is what it takes. This is the passion. This is the hunger it takes to be this person and to be this person. Culture is not something you tell people. Culture is something you show them and you build. You understand? So that's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elijah. Culture is not something you tell people, it's something you show. I think I don't know where I got this from, but someone once said that you learn things by seeing, or by you learn things by catching or seeing someone do something than someone telling you what to do. So when you see that this is something that probably Elijah is doing, then I want to emulate my boss. I want to do like the way he's behaving. So, and that's like the practical way to build culture at an organization. I think we'll be rounding up shortly now, but I want to ask Abigail, are you back now?
Yes, 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 I am. Thank you, Ajbola.
Right.
Thank you for stepping in. Yes, it was such a great session. Despite the fact that I'm the youth, I picked and I have huge highlights from this session, and I trust that you do as well, or you did. Please, if you have questions, now is the time. So you can drop your while I just do a quick recap of some things that were done or that were said, sorry, by our amazing speakers. You can just leave it in the chat. However, Ajibala just dropped a poll, right? About 6 questions. They are not so technical, just something simple to just know that you were actively with us. Just kindly help us fill the poll. Thank you so much. So this was an insightful session, like I said earlier. You know, I'll just do a recap from both speakers, right? Build your knowledge bank. Yeah, I know that this was said by Praise, build your knowledge bank. When you realize or you discover that the job that you are doing right now or where you currently are does not represent where you like to be or is not what you like to do, ensure that you build your knowledge bank. Even when she already left the the entry level role, right? When she was able to take up or fill into the responsibility of or the role of being a team lead, because I mean, like she said, opportunity met preparation. She was very prepared for the role, right? So build your knowledge bank, be prepared, be confident in what you do, be confident on the job. And there's a different thing, there's it's a different thing to know the job, right? And it's also another thing for people, for your colleagues or people around you to know that you know the job. So when they know that, so when they are looking for, oh, I'm trying to get a data from Bloomberg, who do I meet? You know that, oh, go to that person. She's like the Bloomberg queen, right? So let people also be aware that you know the job. And also there's a thin line between confidence and pride. So we need to this need for us to watch it and take feedback the right way. I'm sure everybody would remember that, because both of our speakers spoke about the importance or the essence of taking feedback the right way. And remember that feedbacks are not targeted to your person, right? Rather to help you to improve both on the job and also improve, give you a different perspective to how things should be done, right? So ensure that you have an open mind on the job so that you can take feedback the right way. I don't know if we have already have questions or clarifications in the chat. I don't think so. Okay, so um also know the soft skills that are required for the role. Like Praise said, yes, Praise said this. That's true. There are a couple of soft skills that are required for certain role, and they always just highlight it in the JD. Not like they will say soft skills, technical skills. Some of them don't, most of them don't. But you can easily know that for this particular role, they need attention, somebody that pays attention, somebody that's able to pay attention to details. For this particular role, they need somebody who has the right ability to just speak up, right? You typically see the soft skills always highlighted somewhere in the JD, and know the soft skills that are required for the role. Also, both speakers highlighted or buttress the importance of making your boss shine, right? Your first job is to make your boss look good. And like I said, I remember also buttressing this, and the question Ajibola asked as well helped to further expand this, right? Knowing that there are hierarchy to these things. Most is your manager, your supervisor, or your team lead, and then you, if there are not even other people before you, right? So you have to know that. your job is to make your boss and the person ahead of you look good, right? That's the way that they get to recommend you for things, mention your name in rooms that you cannot get into yet. So ensure that you just do your job well and make your boss look good. And sequel to the question that Jibola asked while we're buttressing this point, also, your boss calls the shots. Elijah mentioned this. Note that your boss called the shots. Don't in any way make your boss feel threatened, right? However, if you notice, like Chris said, if you notice that where you are is a place where you are consistently in every ramification, everything, you know better, or you are always right about some things, you have grown beyond the job, just know that you have grown beyond that certain level and you need to find another job as soon as possible. Always be prepared, right? Every opportunity to speak is an opportunity to sell yourself, right? So if you have your MD just randomly calls you, your supervisor is not around, person just went for lunch or something, and what your supervisor was supposed to ask, your MD just start to ask you, right? Would you be able to answer the question? Would you be able to step in? How would they know that yeah, fits? Yeah, right. Maybe you have been asking for a promotion, and at that point, your MD asked a question that was supposed to be answered by your boss. Would you be able to answer it? So always, always, always be prepared, knowing that, like Pre said, preparation would always and can really meet opportunity, right? When opportunity comes, the fact that you are already prepared for the role, you know what you're supposed to give in, it just helps. And always pay attention to the people around you. Oh my god, this is very, very, very important. Always pay attention to people around you, read the room, pay attention to the people around you. Okay, I can see that there are, let me check the chat. Yes, there are still no questions. If there are no questions, we would say a very big thank you. Thank you, Praise. Thank you so, so much, Elijah. And our founder, we have Abisola, Abisola Adeniji on the call. Abisola, can you unmute your mic? Is Abisola on the call? Abisola is the founder of TOC Africa. Yes, great. Abisola is on the call. Over to you.
Okay, hi. Good evening, So sorry, I've been saying evening for a while. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Praise. Thank you so much, Elijah. And also thank you so much, Abigail and Ajibola. Honestly, it was such an insightful session. And Praise, I love the fire, the energy. And Elijah, thank you really. It was insightful. I personally also learned a lot. Like it's also some of the tips that you have shared is what I will be implementing in my own career journey because of course we all learn every day. Again, this was such an insightful one. So thank you very much, Abigail. And Abigail, I'm going to hand over back to you.
Okay, thank you, Abisola. In case you don't know, Abisola Adeniji is the founder of TOC Africa. And like Abibola said at the beginning of the call during the introduction, TOC Africa is a community where we help people learn, discover, and grow, right? And we do this via our TOC newsletter, which is usually sent out, sorry, every Saturday, right? We have TOC resources where we compile different resources, scholarships. We do this once in a month, and we hold quarterly webinars as well, such as this. So this is the one for this quarter. So I heard you to look forward to the one for subsequent quarters in 2025. Like I said earlier, the topic for this webinar was coined from TOC Africa's theme for the month, right? So we're going to have a theme for April, and it goes like that. So before we have our webinar for the month, I would advise that you stay tuned to our newsletter, stay tuned to our social media platforms as well. If you're not following TOC Africa on LinkedIn, Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel. By the way, this session was recorded. We live streamed on YouTube, so you can always watch it. You can do a replay on YouTube and share with as many persons as possible. So many people, sorry, that you know that will need this. I'm sure a lot of people need this. So such an insightful session. So thank you everyone. Do well to stay tuned to our Instagram. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, account, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Ajibola, do you want to say something before we end the call? Or are we good?
Not really. We are good. Thank you so much, Praise and Elijah, once again.
All right. Thank you.